Oh, sorry.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Laura Bretaña, Spanish interpreter. The interpreter has not been sworn.
Will you please raise your right hand? I'll do it. Do you solemnly swear to translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do. Laura Bretaña, Spanish interpreter.
Thank you. The first person is Porfirio and Zapal. And the defendant is here because he was arrested for child abuse. On that count, his bond is $5,000. And for domestic violence, on that count, his bond is $500. If he makes bond or is otherwise released, he's to have no contact with either victim, no return to the home. He may return one time if necessary to retrieve his belongings. Sorry, the public defender is appointed on all of these cases. And he is to consume no alcohol or illegal substances while out on bond. It's the same thing I said before. This doesn't have to be translated. I'm just speaking to the public defender. I have some PC issues. I'll raise them. If I don't catch something, you raise it.
Thank you, Judge.
Jamie Hernandez Rodriguez.
Bonded, Your Honor.
Bonded?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll just, listen up, please, PD. I had a question on, he's bonded already, so I'm not gonna do an analysis, but I just will say for the record and for everyone's benefit, I couldn't see where there was tampering in this. We don't need to go down that road since he's bonded, but I didn't see facts supporting that charge. Maybe, again, I read these very fast, so it's entirely possible I missed.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Were we talking about Mr. Hernandez's case?
Mr. Hernandez, yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
Jaquez Carmen Rosa Baez.
She has a victim, and the victim is a Spanish interpreter as well.
Okay, so we're going to need the Spanish interpreter for the victim. Before I hear from the victim, may I just say that the defendant was arrested for battery. Does this defendant qualify for PTR?
Yes, she does, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Is the interpreter ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm looking at the witness now. Will he please raise his right hand?
Al testigo, por favor, levante la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Jura y promete que el testimonio que va a prestar será la verdad, solamente la verdad y nada más que la verdad.
Sí.
Yes.
You're going to have, put your hand down, please.
Baje la mano, por favor.
Sorry.
You will have a chance to speak on behalf of the defendant here in just a moment. Please remember. Go ahead.
Usted tendrá la oportunidad de hablar a favor o a nombre de la acusada en unos momentos, pero por favor,
Please remember that we are using an interpreter, so it helps if you speak a little more slowly than you usually do.
pero por favor recuerde que como estamos utilizando al intérprete, no sería útil que usted hablase un poco más lento de lo que normalmente lo hace.
Okay?
Ok.
¿Está bien? Ok.
What would you like to say?
¿Qué es lo que usted desea decir?
Bueno, primeramente, que mi esposa y yo tenemos 13 años, más de 13 años juntos. Hemos discutido por discusiones de pareja normal. Lo que pasó, sucedió, se salió de control. Decidí llamar a la policía para que nos controláramos nosotros. ¿Me entiendes?
Señor, permítame por favor interpretar. Well, first of all, I would like to say that my wife and I, we have been together for 13 years or more, and that we've had our arguments as every couple does, but this time it got a bit out of hand, and that's what I had to call the police. Proceda, señor.
Entonces, al proceder llamando a la policía, solamente quise calmar la discusión, porque es primera vez que sucede algo de esta manera. Pero mi esposa siempre ha sido una buena mujer y una buena madre. No, decidí hacer eso porque no quise que hubiera malos términos.
Señor, permítame interpretar. Well, and then that's why I decided to call the police, because I wanted them to help me to calm the situation down, because this is the first time that it has gone in such a way. But I want to say that my wife has always been a good woman and a good mother.
Are you afraid of your wife?
¿Usted le teme a su esposa?
No, de ninguna manera.
No, not at all.
Have you had physical fights with her in the past?
En el pasado, ¿ustedes habían tenido antes peleas físicas?
No, solamente
No.
discusiones.
Only arguments.
If she were allowed to come home, I would order that she have no hostile contact with you or any other person.
Si a ella se le permitiese regresar al hogar, yo le prohibiría que tuviese contacto hostil tanto con usted como con otras personas.
That includes, of course, any physical contact, any yelling or threatening, or loud arguing.
Eso incluye, claro está, todo tipo de contacto físico, pero también incluye que le grite, le amenace, peleas o discusiones en voz muy alta.
So with that order in place, will you feel comfortable if she comes home?
Así que entonces, si yo ordenase eso, ¿usted se sentiría cómodo de que ella regrese a la casa?
Sí, por supuesto.
Yes, of course.
And can you assure me that if she comes home with that order in place and then she violates the order, you will call the police?
Y entonces, señor, usted me asegura a mí que si ella regresa al hogar, está esta orden en vigor y ella incumple con esa orden, ¿usted llamaría a la policía?
Sí, por supuesto.
Of course, yes.
Does the state have any further questions?
¿La fiscalía tiene alguna otra pregunta?
No, Your Honor.
Does the defense?
No, Your
No, su señoría, la defensa, no, su señoría.
All right. She was arrested for battery, domestic violence. She is,
Bien, ella fu-
sorry, I paused. She is released to PTR, and she is to have no hostile contact with her husband or anyone else while this case is pending.
Muy bien, entonces ella fue puesto bajo arresto por agresión física por violencia doméstica. Será puesta en libertad bajo el programa de libertad provisional y se le prohíbe todo tipo de contacto hostil con su esposo y también con otras personas.
Mrs. Baez,
Señora Báez,
I am releasing you, but you will be supervised by a program here at the jail.
señora Báez, yo le estoy concediendo a usted la libertad, pero usted será supervisada a través de un programa aquí en la cárcel.
So listen and pay careful attention when they tell you what the rules are.
Así que entonces, por favor, escuche con mucha atención cuando ellos le digan a usted cuáles son las reglas.
If you do not follow their rules, then a judge will order that you be arrested and held in jail. Do you understand?
Porque si usted no cumple con estas reglas, entonces un juez ordenará que usted sea puesta bajo arresto y tendrá que permanecer en la cárcel. ¿Eso lo entiende?
Sí.
Yes.
Anything further?
¿Algo más?
Your Honor, the state would request she not consume any alcohol.
And while
Señor-
she is on bond, she is not to consume any alcohol, any cannabis, even if she has a card, or any other illegal substances.
Su señoría, la fiscalía solicita que se le prohíba el consumo de alcohol mientras se encuentra libre bajo fianza. Sí, muy bien. Entonces se ordena que mientras se encuentre libre bajo fianza no consuma ningún tipo de alcohol, tampoco podrá consumir cannabis si es que tiene licencia para ello y tampoco podrá consumir ningún otro tipo de droga.
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
Judge,
Muy bien, gracias.
I did have one objection to make to the no hostile contact with any person. I think that legally we can only tie it to the victim here, the alleged victim.
Thank you very much. Overruled.
Pues, su señoría, tengo una objeción en cuanto a la previsión de contacto hostil con cualquier persona. Creo que legalmente solamente se podría ordenar en cuanto a la víctima, el esposo. Se deniega la objeción.
All right, next case, please. Jesus Perez Cruz. He's going to put the headphones on. Headphones, please. Mr. Perez, you were arrested for driving without a valid driver's license. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'm asking him if he can hear me, but he doesn't answer.
Right, he says he can't hear. Can you try again, please?
Bueno. Sí, bueno.
Your Honor, I don't think he can hear me. I'm going to hang up and dial back just in case this works.
Okay.
Bueno, habla español, ¿verdad?
He's not answering, Your Honor. I'm asking if he can hear me and he doesn't answer.
Okay, let's take the headphones off. We've only got two. We'll just do it this way.
Ok.
Mr. Perez, you were arrested for driving without a valid driver's license.
Señor Pérez, usted fue puesto bajo arresto por conducir sin licencia válida.
Sí, no tengo licencia.
Yes, I don't have a license.
Does he qualify for PTR?
He did not, Your Honor.
¿Cumple él con los requisitos para la libertad provisional? No, su señoría.
Your bond is $500 and you may not drive until you have a valid driver's license.
La fianza son $500 y se le prohíbe conducir hasta que no tenga una licencia válida.
Ok, está bien. Sí.
Ok, fine.
Okay.
Kenny Javier Padilla. Does Mr. Padilla qualify for PTR?
He does not, Your Honor.
¿El señor Padilla cumple con los requisitos de la libertad provisional? No, su señoría.
Mr. Padilla was arrested for simple assault, intent, expressing an intent or threat to do violence.
El señor Padilla fue puesto bajo arresto por agresión física simple, expresar la intención de hacer daño o amenaza.
His bond is $500.
Su fianza son $500.
If he is released, he is to have no contact with the victim or the witness.
De ser puesto en libertad, se le prohíbe todo tipo de contacto con la víctima y o el testigo.
He may not return to his home, but he may return one time only with a law enforcement officer to retrieve his belongings so he can live somewhere else while this case is pending.
Se le prohíbe regresar a su hogar. Se le permitirá regresar en una ocasión acompañado de las autoridades para que recoja sus pertenencias y pueda vivir en otro lugar mientras este caso está abierto.
Maria Teresa Sanchez. Mrs. Sanchez, you were arrested for domestic violence.
Señora Sánchez, usted fue puesta bajo arresto por violencia doméstica.
Does she qualify for PTR?
He did not, Your Honor.
¿Cumple ella con los requisitos de la libertad provisional? No, su señoría.
Your bond is $500.
Se fija fianza en la cantidad de $500.
If you are released, you are to have no contact with your brother Jose
De ser usted puesta en libertad, se le prohíbe todo tipo de contacto con su hermano José.
You may not live in the same home as Jose.
Se le prohíbe vivir en la misma casa que viva José.
If the two of you normally live in the same home, you may not return there.
Si ustedes ambos suelen vivir en la misma casa, a usted se le prohíbe regresar allí.
However, if that is the case, you may return one time with a policeman or deputy sheriff to retrieve your belongings so you can stay somewhere else while this case is pending.
Pero si ese fuera el caso, se le permitirá a usted regresar en una ocasión acompañada ya bien sea de un policía o de un alguacil para que recoja sus pertenencias y pueda vivir en otro lugar mientras este caso está abierto.
All right, I believe that concludes our Spanish-speaking inmates for the interpreter, so I will say goodbye and thank the interpreter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Alondra Owens,
Yes. Yes.
Buen suerte.
I'm here.
okay, can you point that mic at her maybe, and then go to the other mic? Yeah, oh, she's got one there, sorry, yeah. Yeah, they're coming from all directions. Mrs. Owens, you were arrested for battery, domestic violence. Does Mrs. Owens qualify for PTR?
She did not, Your Honor.
Okay, your bond is $500.
Your Honor.
Just a minute.
Okay.
If you are released, you're to have no contact with any victim or any witness. And if you live in the same home with any victim or any witness, you have to live somewhere else. And if you need to, you can go and retrieve your belongings one time with a law enforcement officer. You are also charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle, and your bond on that charge is $1,000.
Yes.
Why don't you ask that lawyer the question that you want to ask?
Your Honor, I know exactly what you're talking about. Your Honor, this is an interesting case. So there are two cases from the same incident here. Both participants were arrested, as you're aware. I believe that Ms. Owens' issue here is the same one that the public defender would suggest. This seems to be an instance of mutual combat, which would seem to eliminate probable cause against both participants in the fight.
Not necessarily.
With all due respect, Your Honor, we'd just like to get our argument on the record respectfully.
Oh, but I get to ask questions along the way and make comments when you make a statement of the law as that is wrong. But go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. I was applying the law to the facts, I believe.
I beg pardon?
I believe I was applying the law to the facts.
Well, just because it's mutual conflict doesn't mean that domestic violence charges or battery charges can't be filed. There's a lot more analysis than just that's not the end of the story.
I never touched her.
I would agree, Judge. It seems theoretically there could be a situation where there is a battery that provides a pretext for then an evolving mutual combat situation. That may be the case here.
Well, the question then becomes who throws the first punch?
I didn't touch at all.
Correct, Judge, and that's exactly our issue with the affidavit. It appears that the affidavit alleges that the first punch was thrown by both participants in the fight because both participants claimed that the other participant threw the first punch, and there was no evidence to indicate otherwise. Because both statements seem to contradict one another, it would seem that there's no victim and no assailant here at all. This is just a
Police officers never.
The court found probable cause in this case, and I have already set the terms of her bond.
They never took my statement. That was not my statement.
Justin Etheridge, oh. Hello, Mr. Etheridge. You were arrested for battery by strangulation, criminal mischief of $1,000 or more, battery, felony battery, as this would be the second battery that you have, and contempt of court. So your bond is $10,000 on this first count for strangulation, $150 on count 2, $150 on count 3, and You have no bond on the violation for protection against domestic violence and the injunction.
Your Honor, I missed
Oh, he
that.
has two, excuse me, yes?
I'm sorry, Judge. I missed that first bond.
10,000.
Thank you, Judge.
I think he has, yeah, he has two cases. Oh, I didn't see this before. Kidnapping, false imprisonment of an adult. Hold on just one second. Okay, so this is a domestic violence situation. Is this the same victim? Yeah. And his bond on the kidnapping, false imprisonment charge is $5,000. If he is released, he's had absolutely no contact with the victim or any witnesses. If he lives in the home where this occurred, he may return one time only to retrieve his belongings with a law enforcement officer. Elijah Lewis,
Your Honor, may we state request no weapons or firearms for that defendant?
and so ordered. Hello, Mr. Lewis. So this is a very unfortunate case for you because it appears that you were out on bond for aggravated stalking, making a credible threat. And it looks like that case number might be 21 CF 11846. And then you got arrested for aggravated stalking after an injunction. And then there's another case where you got arrested. Is this a separate aggravated stalking? Twice. So let's just make this easy. Your bond is revoked in the 21 CF 11846, and on the other two counts, your bond is zero.
Judge, we would object to the $0 bond because there hasn't been an evidentiary hearing and an evidentiary showing of proof evident presumption great. Excuse my misstatement.
Okay, well, the court has reviewed the affidavits in this case and finds proof evident presumption great. And in any event, he is not entitled to a bond at the very least in the case for which he was already given a bond.
Just denied you.
China Lee Munez. Does this person qualify for PTR?
Not right now. I mean,
Yes, they do, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Munez, you were charged, you were arrested for false imprisonment and domestic violence. So I'm going to release you on a program called PTR or pretrial release. And that means you don't have to post a monetary bond. But it also means that you have to follow, that's a program that's at the jail, and they have a set of rules that you have to follow. For example, they're going to tell you you have to call in and check at a certain time on a certain day, you know, whenever they tell you, you must do that. When you don't do that, then the judge gets a letter saying, Ms. Muniz didn't do what she was supposed to do in the PTR program, and then what the judge will do is issue a warrant for your arrest. So listen very carefully to what the rules are and follow them. So she has PTR in both counts.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, I beg your pardon. So no contact with the victim, no return if she resides with the victim except one time with law enforcement. Thank you for the reminder. Both. Just do both. Roy Brown. Does Mr. Brown qualify for PTR?
Yes, he does, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Brown, you were arrested for domestic violence. And the alleged victim is your fiance.
Yes, ma'am.
And don't say anything. And I'm going to release you to this pretrial release program, which I was talking about with the last lady. So you don't have to post a monetary bond. But that pretrial release program has a set of rules that you have to follow. As soon as you break a rule, they tattletale to the judge right away, and the judge issues a warrant. So just follow the rules. When they say call, call. You know, when they say jump, you say how high. Just do it. So you don't get rearrested, and then you'll have to post possibly a big bond. It looks like you, and from the affidavit, don't acknowledge anything, but it looks like you and the victim, like she was moving out or trying to move out or something. But anyway, you can't live together. So if she's still in the place where this fight happened, you can't go back there, except one time with a police officer or deputy to get your stuff and go stay somewhere else. Moreover, you're to have absolutely no contact with her. No social media, no text, no nothing. Don't tell somebody to tell her something. That's contact. Don't post about her on social media. That can be considered a threat. So follow the rules and you'll get out today. Anything else? No? Excellent. Ralston Clark. Does Mr. Clark qualify for PTR?
He does not, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, so. Oh, yeah. Okay, Mr. Clark. You got arrested for domestic violence. So oh, here's somebody. Hello,
Hello,
what's your name?
Denise Prince Clark. I'm his wife.
And will you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Are you Mr. Clark's wife?
Yes, Your Honor.
So y'all have 3 kids together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And according to the police report, he, brushed or slapped something out of your hand because your phone was in your hand, I think, and scratched your finger.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what the police report
Yes, Your
says.
Honor.
So he's here today and he's going to be released.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Rose is a loving husband and a father, and he's a hard worker. And we just had an argument, and it just went a little bit too far. But he's a good person, and his family miss and love him, and we want him to come home.
Are you afraid of him?
No, Your Honor.
Are his kids afraid of him?
No, Your Honor. We've been together for 13 years, and we have well, I have 4 kids, but we have 3 kids together. And also, he takes care of my first son. That's not his. So he's a loving and wonderful father and husband. So we're not afraid.
Okay. And if something were to happen and he were to hit you or one of the kids, would you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, have you had physical altercations, fights with him before?
No, Your Honor. We just have arguments, but no, nothing serious.
Does the state have any other questions for this witness?
How old are your children?
My oldest son, Tayshawn Williams, is 15. Our first son together, Roger Clark, is 11. Our daughter together, Ariana Clark, next month she'll be 9. And our youngest son, Logan Clark, he'll be 5 next month.
If an incident like this were to happen again, would you contact the police?
That was already asked.
And has DCF contacted you? Yep.
No, sir.
No further questions.
Okay. So what I think I will do on this case, why doesn't he qualify for PTR?
His fingerprints haven't cleared, Your Honor, so he
Oh.
hasn't been positively identified yet.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna ROR him and he can go home with having as long as he has no hostile contact with any person, which means, of course, no physical anything and no yet hollering and screaming and threatening and blaming and
Okay.
all that stuff. None of that. And I'm putting the wife in charge temporarily of who stays in that house and who doesn't. So if things get out of hand, you can tell him to leave and he must leave. If he doesn't leave, he will be violating this court's order. And you can call the police. So I hope that nothing like that is going to happen again. And I don't think anything further is necessary.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for coming in, ma'am. All right. Jeremy Grenier. Does Mr. Grenier qualify for PTR?
Yes, he does, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Grenier, you were arrested for domestic violence, and I'm releasing you through PTR, which is a program that allows you to avoid having to pay a monetary bond, but there are rules under the program. You have to call and check in. They have to know where you're living. A few other things, not significant, but you must follow the rules because if you don't, the PTR program immediately tells the judge and the judge signs a warrant. It's as simple as that. So be sure and follow those rules. You're to have no contact with the alleged victim while you're out on bond. No contact means phone, computer, whatever. Don't post any social media even talking about her. Don't send her a message through some other person. If you, the two of you live together,
It's actually my stepfather.
it's actually your stepfather.
We do not live together.
Okay. So then I don't have to say, you do not live in the home where the alleged victim occurred,
Correct.
but lives. Okay, then no further restrictions. No contact with the victim. Shanna Lee Hallwager. Okay, Ms. Hallwager, you were arrested for domestic violence. Does she qualify for PTR?
She does not, Your Honor.
Okay, so your bond is, oh, hello, I'm sorry.
No problem, Your Honor.
Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, state your name, please.
Alexander Anthony Smilo Jr.
And what is your relationship
He is my
to-
wife.
Sorry?
She is my wife, Your Honor.
Okay, and do you have anything to say about this situation?
She's been thinking severely about her brother's murder. He was murdered in Bradenton a couple of years ago, and she drank excessively, and that's what happened. She simply got way too drunk in a bad emotional state.
Are you afraid?
Oh,
for
no.
your safety?
No. Not at all.
And you don't have any concerns about further incidents of domestic
No, Your Honor.
abuse? So you two live together?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had problems with domestic violence in the past?
Not really, just her drinking.
Yeah. Okay. So you said no on PTR here?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, you know, sometimes when people hit the bottom, they'll get serious about recovery, and maybe this is hitting the bottom, who knows?
I hope so, Your Honor.
But I will order, can you two live together? Do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
want to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And if anything violent were to occur, can you assure the court that you would call the police and get assistance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, because if I allow you two to live together, then I'm putting you in charge, and if things start to escalate, then you're the one that says you have to leave.
Understood, Your Honor.
And he has to leave immediately.
Understood, Your Honor.
And if he doesn't, then you call the police.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the other thing that I would order is he may not consume alcohol while this
Understood.
case is going on.
Understood.
And I know you may be an enabler and you may not want to, but if you chose to, if there's drinking going on, you could call the police and that would be a violation of my rules and he'd be picked up.
Understood, Your Honor.
Does the state have any questions?
No questions for the victim, but
Does the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, if we could inquire. Sir, are you here to pay bond for your wife today?
If I can, yes.
How much can you afford?
I'm gonna ROR, so why are we doing this?
Yes, Your Honor, we'd concede the point.
Or do you want to just continue to ask about their financial circumstances?
Well, I guess there's no point for it.
Well, that seems pretty pointless to me, too. All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, although the victim does wish to have contact, there seems to be history of past domestic violence with the same victim, and so state would be requesting a no contact.
I beg your pardon?
State would be requesting no contact.
Why?
There is history of past domestic violence with the victim.
How many?
I'm not sure. It just says one on the criminal history that was
Okay,
provided.
all right, so that would be denied. See, okay, so I'm going to ROR this defendant on the conditions previously stated.
Understood, Your Honor.
No alcohol, understood? Okay, very good. All right, very good, thank you, sir. No hostile contact. Huh? Because it's no bond. If any judge changes it will. Okay, Niji Kendrick. Hello, does Ms. Kendrick qualify for PTR?
She did not, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Kendrick, oh, that's this one. Okay. Yes, Ms. Kendrick, you were arrested for domestic violence. I understand this is the same one you claim there's no PC because it was mutual. Your bond is $1,000. If you're released, you're to have no contact with the other participant in this melee or any witness. If necessary, to retrieve your belongings, you can do so, but only in the company of a police officer.
We live at the same residence, y'all.
Pardon?
We live together.
I know, but not anymore. Because as long as this is going on,
Who has to leave?
I don't know.
Because my children are there.
That's a bad situation, but only one of you can live there.
Okay.
Your Honor, I think that both individuals have a no return policy put onto them.
One return with a police officer, and they can return, one of them can return. I don't know how that gets worked out, but one of them can, of course, live in the house, but they can't live together. All right, Rochelle Tarlbert. Yes, please.
Your Honor, I think both those defendants will be precluded from returning to the home.
They're in a pickle, aren't they?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, and the court is not going to work that out for them. It's got to be worked out somehow. And we have someone here. Sir, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
What's your name, sir?
Eric R. Watt Sr.
You can put your hand down. What is your relationship to the defendant?
I'm fiance, and she's the mother of my 16-month-old daughter.
Okay, so she was arrested for domestic violence. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. Does she qualify for PTR?
Yes, Your Honor, she does.
Okay, so she'll be released to PTR. So that means you don't have to post a money bond. She doesn't have to post a money bond. But this is a program at the jail where she has to follow certain rules, like check in every week or every month. I think it's by phone. And do whatever they tell her to do, like if they suspect drug use, drug testing, but it's mostly just to keep an eye on people while they're in the community without having to post a money bond. And she has to follow the rules, because if you don't follow the rules, the program tells the judge and the judge will issue a warrant for you. So listen, when they tell you what the rules are, listen carefully, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so are you here to speak on behalf of your fiance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you afraid of her?
Not at all.
And have you had violent incidents in the past?
Your Honor, no, only incidents we have and have had is just basic arguments over, the house, the children,
Yeah.
outside family members trying to take advantage of her, different things like that, just basic. But this is the first physical incident that's ever occurred.
Okay. And if she's released and allowed to come back home, the only way that can happen is if I order that she have no hostile contact while she's out on release with anybody, including you.
Your Honor, I agree with that. I wanted to ask, can something else be added with the hostile? I know what you just explained, but I just wanted to ask, would this part cover the hostile as well? Do I have permission to ask that?
Well, the program that she's going to be under is, I don't know whether they'll come to your house. My sense is that they don't, but I'm not sure. But the no hostile contact is a court order.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, I know you said no verbal arguments between me and her, no physical arguments, no physical fights. Would that cover her family members coming to our home, sisters, father, anything like that, causing disturbances?
I don't have authority to reach out and order, those people to do or not do anything. But what I can say is that for as long as this case is going on, I'm putting you in charge.
Okay,
So if she becomes hostile or loses her temper and raises a hand to anybody, can I be assured that you would call the police and report it?
yes, ma'am, without argument and without hesitation.
Okay. And so when while this is going on, at least, you're making the rules in the house. To avoid arguments, if you feel that you need to make rules about certain people can be in the house and certain people can't, then those are the house rules.
Your Honor, I have one final question. Like I said, her temper just, got the best of her. I don't wish to proceed with any charges. I don't, want to see her prosecuted. Can we note that in the file that I would like for all charges to be dropped against her this time?
That's on the record, yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. Anything else from anybody?
No, Your Honor.
Judge, respectfully, we just object to the no hostile contact as to the entire world.
I'm not issuing a hostile, no, that's not what I said.
I thought there was a no hostile contact order, Judge.
No, it's a no hostile contact with him or anyone else.
Correct. It's to the anyone else, Judge, that are.
Oh, okay, that objection is overruled. Thank you. Next case, Mark James White. Hello, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
What's your name?
Pamela Campbell.
You can put your hand down, Miss Campbell. Okay, this is a case where I didn't have PC.
Appears there's some type of report missing.
Yeah. The report that I have attached to the arrest affidavit of law enforcement officer Rabel doesn't give PC. In fact, it doesn't even mention Miss Campbell. It just says that there was a prior call showing Mark James White as a defendant for battery. Okay. So, yeah, I have no PC.
Yes, Your Honor, I would agree. I would ask for 24 hours and have this reset.
Okay, but I'm not keeping him in jail. We'll see. What is your relationship to the defendant?
I'm his wife.
And I'm sorry, but I don't have very much information on this case, which is what we were just discussing among ourselves. And so now we're talking about him coming back home or being released from jail. What is your feeling about that?
Yes. I'm not afraid of him. I would like for him to come back home, yes.
Okay. So if anything starts up again, can I have your assurance that if it's violent or threatening or hostile, you'll call the police?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone in your home, that includes anyone in the home?
Yes.
Or for that matter, anyone you see him threatening or being violent with. Have you had problems with domestic violence in the past?
Over 30 years ago. We've been married almost 30 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're not afraid of him now?
No.
And as with the other gentleman, I'm putting you in charge. So if you feel things are escalating and he needs to leave, you may tell him to leave and he must leave.
Yes.
And if he doesn't, that's a violation of this court's order and you can call the police.
Okay.
Judge, are you now finding probable cause?
Well, I'm trying to just figure out, I don't want him to stay in jail for the next 24 hours while they cobble together probable cause. And the question is, you know, I don't have any authority to make anybody do anything if there's no PC. But I'm not willing to keep him in jail. Can you just go along? I mean, he's gonna be released. But I'd like to get some assurance that there's not gonna be violence and we're not gonna end up back here again. Okay? So I'm not keeping him in jail for the state attorney to put together a PC. If they decide to do that and then file on it, it's fine. But there is no PC and he's ordered to be released.
State would object pursuant to Rule 3.133. State is requesting 24 hours to find probable cause. And
Okay, you want him to come back in here for an IA or what? I mean, I'm not keeping him in jail 24 more hours. That's just cruel.
I believe that according to the rule that he can be kept.
Okay, you can appeal that. I've already issued my order. Okay, so he'll be coming home. Just keep an eye on things. Is alcohol a problem for him?
No. He's had substance abuse. So he doesn't need to be doing any drugs and.
Okay, no drugs.
Okay.
While he's at home.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. ATN Dodley. Okay, so this is confusing. I don't really get this. So this is an all right, well, at the very least, it looks like Mr. Dodley was out on bond. in 2021 CF 6918 for aggravated stalking, violation of a domestic violence injunction, and violation of pretrial release conditions. And also for burglary of a dwelling with an assault or battery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and battery. And that case is 2021 3902. And then on 10/16, he was arrested for burglary of an occupied dwelling in violation of a domestic violence injunction. And so he has no bond on the violation of the domestic violence injunction and a $25,000 bond on the burglary of an occupied dwelling. And his bond is revoked in the other two cases.
Your Honor, I did have a probable cause challenge, if I could just get it on the record.
Sure, of course.
Thank you. As regards the burglary count, I believe the only crime that can be alleged therein is the violation of the domestic violence injunction. That offense is a technical violation, in my understanding. It's not a criminal offense in the sense that a new crime has been committed. And because of that, the nature of that offense, it would not rise to the level of the necessary element showing by the state of an intent to be, or rather of an intent to commit a crime therein. It wouldn't qualify for that. So on those grounds, we would argue that this should be a probable cause for a trespass, but not for burglary.
Okay, that objection, that argument is rejected, denied, overruled. All right, that goes with. Uh-huh. 0.
No bond, right?
Yes, on both cases. Corey Dalton Anderson.
All right, you need to talk to your attorney. Oh, and I'm sorry, Judge, I did need to object to the no bond setting in the prior case without the
Okay,
author here.
objection noted, overruled.
Thank you.
Corey Dalton Anderson,
Yes, ma'am.
you were served with a warrant or a bench warrant for failure to appear before some judge in Orange County, and there are 2 counts, and you have no bond on either one. Alexis Ann Bialaus Alowarzek.
Bonded, Your Honor?
Yay. Madison Lee Blevins. Okay, so I didn't understand. I get the possession of alprazolam, but this is not for you. Don't talk. But what I couldn't find is how this is trespass to an occupied structure or conveyance. Maybe I just missed that. Because I think she was was this the vehicle that was found to be stolen?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe that it is because it was a stolen vehicle.
Right,
They would not have permission to be in the vehicle.
of course, right. I mean, you could have charged her maybe with grand theft auto, but, so if you sit in a vehicle that's stolen, that's trespass to an occupied vehicle?
No, I believe it's just trespass to a conveyance. I
Well,
don't
see,
think that,
now we're back to my question. How do these facts show trespass to an occupied conveyance?
I was reading it as it was an occupied structure and then separately as a
Structure, what structure?
well, I think that's just the charging but it can be either a occupied structure.
Words are the tools of a lawyer. if we're talking about her going into a building or a curtilage, use the word structure. If you're talking about her going into a car, use the word conveyance, and don't interchange them. So, because there's nothing in here that says she went into a structure, is there?
No.
No. So we're talking about her being in a stolen car. How is that trespass to an occupied conveyance?
I believe it is just a trespass to a conveyance.
Okay. So you concede that that's a lesser, but I would say there's probable cause for that.
Yes.
Yes, okay. That was painful. So on the possession of alprazolam, her bond is $1,000. For trespass to a conveyance, her bond is $150.
Reach out soon, can't find out.
Same question for Mr. Bourne, Bourne, because I believe that is the same PC affidavit. Right? Yeah. So, Mr. Bourne, you were arrested for trafficking in meth, for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of meth, possession of alprazolam, trespass to an occupied conveyance, although there's only PC for trespass to a conveyance. So, state, is he entitled to a bond on this trafficking in more than 14 grams of meth?
I believe so.
Okay, because the officer wrote no bond on that.
Yes, let me see.
Well, while he's looking at that, I will say his charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, the bond on that is $5,000. For the possession of meth, the bond is $150. Alprazolam, $150. Trespass to a conveyance, the bond is $100. But I'd like somebody to tell me what the bond schedule says about trafficking in meth. I'm sure it's a very high bond. But it's not a capital or life felony. So I would say his bond is $100,000. I don't know if that's what the bond schedule says. If the state wants to file a motion to increase the bond because it's not enough, then you can do that. But for now, that's the court's order.
I'll hear from your attorney soon.
Roderick Boyle. Hi, Mr. Boyle. You were arrested for driving with a revoked driver's license as a habitual offender. Your bond is $2,500. Rosaline Dixon. Okay, so I'm going to change this up slightly. She has 2 cases. Battery on a law enforcement officer, her bond is $2,500. Resisting an officer with violence, her bond is $150. Resisting without violence, her bond is $100. For trespass after warning, her bond is $500.
Your Honor, Miss Dixon has requested an ROR.
Okay,
Can afford those bonds.
nope.
Return to work, please, and pay for my costs and everything else.
No ROR. Chloe Farley,
Can we get grounds for that, Judge?
no.
I
Talking about.
return to work, please, and I could manage back my finances, please.
No, ma'am. Sorry, let me just say this. I'll ROR on the trespass. Yeah. Okay, Chloe Lynn Farley. This was kind of a fun affidavit, actually. It was like quite unbelievable. All right, so you were arrested for robbery, not using a firearm or a weapon, from the affidavit, just beating some poor guy down. And your bond is $5,000. If you're released, you're to have no contact with your co-defendants or, of course, the victim. Marquise Hayward. Like, it was like a herd of vampires went after that guy. It was unbelievable. Hello, Mr. Hayward. Sadly, Mr. Hayward, you were out on bond in 21 CT 1266, and then also in 21 CF 3525. And then, lo and behold, you get picked up for possession with intent to sell or deliver and possession of cannabis. So on count one of that, your bond is $15,000. On count two, your bond is $100. And then your bond is revoked in the other two cases. Is that? Oh, and then, sorry. You also had an open container. And your bond on that is $100. And I think that's all. Edward Arturo Hernandez.
Bonded? You bonded?
Yay.
Hear from us soon.
Take this.
Yeah, take it.
Victor Thomas Irizarry. Hello. So you were arrested for fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer using lights and sirens.
And he does qualify for PTR, Your Honor.
Oh, well, that's not happening. So his bond on that charge is, sorry, I'm just reviewing this, $2,500. And then he has a charge of resisting an officer without violence, and his bond on that is $500. And that's all.
Judge, could we get the grounds for the PTR disqualification?
No? Henry William Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, you got arrested for aggravated assault with a weapon. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's,
Don't talk.
I know,
Your bond is $3,500.
yes.
If you're released, you're not to, was this yeah, it was a deputy. Okay. Any conditions of pretrial release other than the bond?
No return to the Wawa and the.
Yeah, no Wawa.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, my bond remains 3,500.
Marcus Anthony Mincy.
Bonded?
Yay. James Massetti.
You refused?
Mr. Massetti is charged with battery on a law enforcement officer. His bond for that is $2,500. Resisting an officer with violence, his bond is 1,000. Trespass after warning, his bond is 100. Assault on a law enforcement officer, his bond is 500. Yes,
Your Honor,
he waived his appearance.
for the record, we didn't have a probable cause affidavit to review for that case.
I'm sorry?
There was no probable cause affidavit for us to review on that case.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me see that again. Okay, so would you like to look at this one?
If I could, Judge.
Yes? Okay. I'm going to step to the restroom. Can you let me out? And then I'll have to bang on the door. Okay, thank you. No, it's just this food stuff. She shut everything down. All right, you may be seated. Counsel?
No objection, Judge.
Okay. The next person is Thomas Rossi. Is Mr. Rossi entitled to a bond for failure to register? What level of offense is that?
Is an F3, Your Honor.
I beg pardon?
An F3,
F3?
yes.
And there's nothing specific to your knowledge that prevents me from giving him a bond?
Not that I am aware of, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's an F3, his bond is, $1,500.
You just,
Isaiah Sanchez. Oh, these are my cases. Wow, okay. So, Mr. Sanchez was arrested for dealing, okay, sadly for Mr. Sanchez, he was out on bond in 21 CF 6136. And he was arrested for dealing in stolen property and receiving money from a pawnbroker. On the new charges, his first bond is $2,500, his second bond is $150, and his bond is revoked in 21 CF 6136. William Logan Varner.
on your old case. Yes.
Mr. Varner, sadly, you were out on bond in 21 CF 8213, and then you got arrested for grand theft of a motor vehicle, which violates the terms of your pretrial release. Your bond on the grand theft is $1,000, and your bond is revoked in 21 CF 8213. Okay, so now Stephen Gallagher. Okay, Mr. Gallagher, you were arrested for a DUI with an extremely high blood alcohol blow, but your bond is $500, and you do not qualify for the public defender, so I'm not appointing the public defender for you. You need to get a lawyer. All right, Jeffrey Edward Hoover. Okay, Mr. Hoover, sadly, you were out on bond in 21 CF 2341 when you were arrested for, well, this one's confusing. Okay. Let's just start over again, because he is out on bond, but he has an FTA. And when would that have occurred? So he failed to appear for a status hearing in June, it looks like. Let's see. Hold on a second. June 22nd. And this, could someone look at 21 CF 2341 and see when he was released on bond?
He bonded on March 4th, Your Honor.
Okay, so he bonded on March 4th in that case. 2341, is this the same case? Or is this? No, this is an older case. And then he bonded in March, and then he failed to appear in a second case in June. which violates the terms of his pretrial release. So on the failure to appear, the bench warrant, he has $1,000, but that, that revokes his bond in 21 CF 2341. All right, if we could move on then to.
He has multiple failure to appear cases, Your Honor.
Oh, I only saw one. Hold on a second.
I have 3 different failure to appear cases.
Okay, hang on just a second. Well, I have the capias in, let's see, I have the capias in 27105.
I also have 20 CT 7104 and 20 CT 2959.
Okay, so his bond is revoked in all of those cases. They have bond, well, his bond is revoked.
Okay, so you're putting all of them.
Well, the only new charge,
It looks like he has 3 new failure to appears, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
We have 3 new failure to appears, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, so he has a bond from the judge who issued the capias. So $1,000 on one. Okay, okay, you do that. Okay, I see. He has 2 other failures to appear, and those are in 21 cases, looks like. And his bond in 20 CT 2959 is $500. And his bond in 20 CT 7104 is $500. So that's 1,000, 500, and 500, and then revoke the bond in the 4th case. That was fun. All right, Xavier Ernest Minor.
I'm sorry, Judge, was that revoked bond on the 212341?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was asking the revoked bond, which case number that was
Oh,
for?
sure.
2341.
Okay, understood. So the original failure to appear revoked by the,
Yes, because they occurred after he was out on bond in 2341.
understood, thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, Xavier Ernest Minor.
I wasn't on the pre release, so it's all mine. There's no way to keep me
All
down.
right, talk to your attorney.
Hi, counsel for the defense, or whoever, state. This just looks like a no valid to me because, hang on a second, what was I seeing? He had I just don't see anywhere in here where it says his driver's license was suspended or revoked. He had a false ID apparently. So I don't know that there's PC for DWLS.
State would agree and ask that.
Okay, the court finds probable cause for no valid driver's license, in which case his bond is $500. Resisting without, $500, and possession of a counterfeit ID, his bond is $100. And I believe those are all of the charges. All right, Teron Burks.
He refused?
Okay. Sadly, Mr. Burks was on bond for trespass when he got picked up for yet another trespass. The new trespass, his bond is $250, and his bond is revoked on the prior trespass. trespass. Kenneth Hill. Mr. Hill, you were arrested for trespass after warning, and your bond is $500. Roger Rex.
He bonded?
Yay. Okay. Osmond Wilson. So this case also confused me
Thank God it confused.
in one sense, which is that according to my reading of the affidavit, he and some other person were sitting in a vehicle, but I can't find anywhere that says it wasn't his car or it wasn't the passenger's car.
Your Honor, just so you're aware, it looks like he posted bond on this case.
Oh, this isn't you're not Mr. Wilson? Are you Mr. Wilson? Okay, then listen to your lawyer. Okay, so he did not post bond.
It looks like he did post bond. What's holding him here is a violent felony offender or special concern hold.
Yeah.
For his probation.
Oh, he's on probation.
Yes, he posted his bond on the trespass, but he's
I
being
see.
held here for the 5 day.
Okay, so help me focus on first things first. First things first is I do not see PC for trespass here. Can somebody point me to it? I can see trespass for all kinds of drug charges, but not for trespass.
State would request 24 hours to contact the officer.
Okay, so I'm also curious as to where the drug charges are. Why wasn't he arrested for possession of all these drugs? But that's just, I don't care. That's not my job. Sorry. Okay, so there's no probable cause for trespass in the trespass to an occupied conveyance or a conveyance. And so Mr. Wilson is to be held 24 hours to allow law enforcement to supplement its report. And in the meantime, he stays in jail.
Thank you. Your Honor, for the violent offender or special concern hold, will that fall off if the state fails to produce evidence for the?
I don't understand why there's not an arrest affidavit for the pharmacy that was in the car against this guy, but there isn't. The only thing that's in is this trespass. And if they can't establish probable cause for trespass, then he can't be held on the VOP because nothing is violating his probation. I mean, you only get held if you're in violation, and there has to either be an on view, which means there's PC for another charge, or your probation officer files an affidavit and warrant. So that's what I think. I've never had this myself, but that kind of makes logical sense to me.
I agree, Judge. So
Yeah.
it sounds like what is happening is we're resetting this to give the
24
state
hours.
24 hours.
To allow the state to, either do it or not. And if they can't do it, then as far as I can tell, for on-view purposes, there's not a VOP.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, Marcel Baker,
He's medical?
medical. Okay, so because it's Sunday and this happened yesterday, I'm just going to announce that she was arrested for battery and her bond is $500. Anthony Chappelle.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Chappelle, you were arrested for, excuse me, just one moment, let me remind. Oh, yes, I do remember this. For attempted burglary of a dwelling. And your bond on that charge is $5,000. If you're released, you're not to return to the residence where this offense allegedly was
Mr.
committed. And I think that's all.
Is this Chappelle, Your Honor?
Yes?
I just see him in for a violation of probation for an attempted burglary. It's a VOP for the burglary of dwelling at a no bond.
Is there a VOP warrant somewhere?
That's what I'm showing he's in on. It's
So
a,
why is he where does it doesn't say that anywhere. All I have is an arrest affidavit. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. There is a warrant out there somewhere. He's here for violation of probation and he has no bond. Okay, sorry, was looking in the wrong place. Anthony Waller.
He's also medical?
Okay, this is the third day. Mr. Waller is charged with robbery with a firearm. He has no bond. Flora Warlick.
he's also out on bond, Your Honor, Mr. Waller. He has a first appearance detainer.
He has a what?
He has a first
Oh, I
appearance
see.
detainer. He's out on bond.
Yeah, it's buried back here. So his bond is revoked in 21 CF 8992.
Your Honor, we would state an objection for the record to the zero bond setting today without a proper Arthur hearing or evidence being put on by the state to justify.
Okay,
proof of
all right. That objection is overruled. Oh, sorry, just let me remind myself. Yes, I've read this before, and the arrest affidavit establishes proof evident presumption. Great. Flora Warless, is that you? World, okay. So you were arrested for trafficking in heroin. Your bond on that charge is $100,000. Possession of oxycodone, your bond on that is $2,500. Possession of methamphetamine, your bond on that is $150. Possession of heroin with intent to sell or deliver, your bond on that is $15,000. Possession of heroin, your bond on that is $1,000. Possession of drug paraphernalia with intent to sell, your bond is $150. Possession of fentanyl, your bond is $1,000. Possession of drug paraphernalia, your bond is $100. Okay, Anthony Lazara.
Yes, ma'am.
Does the state have an offer in this case?
Your Honor, this is a city case, Orlando case. We don't have an offer.
I beg pardon?
No, Your Honor.
You don't have an offer?
No, it's a city case. So it's not a state case.
Okay, all right. Well, so if that's so, then who's the prosecutor on those city cases?
The city of Orlando has a prosecutor or a attorney that usually handles the city cases.
Well, I would make an offer, but I don't have the prosecutor, right prosecutor here. What I can do is lower his bond to $100.
I'm disabled, ma'am. I'm on SSI disability.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. I'm not willing to, and he doesn't qualify for PTR, I'm certain.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, that's the best I can do on that one. $100.
Just resolve the case. It's probably going to be the easiest thing for you to do. Probably the easiest thing is just. You have a public defender. I mean, you haven't been assigned yet, but you'll hear from them. They're helpful with it.
The problem is that the hold comes from the VOP. Good morning, Osceola County. I'm Judge Roach. I have reviewed the arrest affidavits, and I found probable cause. If I haven't, I will stop because I've written myself a note, and I will address any deficiencies I have seen. Of course, the public defender should raise any issues of probable cause that she believes are appropriate. The first person is Andres de Jesus Abad. Oh, you're muted. Can't hear
Sorry,
you.
I was just wanting to state for the record that I'm Jessica Nadal from the Public Defender's Office.
Okay. Mr. Abad was arrested for aggravated battery on a pregnant woman and battery. And does he qualify for pretrial release?
Your Honor, he qualifies for a bond with PTO.
Okay, so his bond is $500 on count 1, ROR on count 2, and PTR. If he is released, he is to have no contact whatsoever with the victim and witnesses. He may not return to the place where the event occurred.
Your Honor?
Just one moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
It's my understanding that the location of the incident is Mr. Abad's residence and that the alleged victim was staying there. And from the charging affidavit, it seemed to me that she was leaving or that they were leaving. And we were hoping that Mr. Abad could return to his residence.
He may return one time with law enforcement to retrieve his belongings, because it seemed to me this whole thing blew up because he and the alleged victim were leaving the home. So I don't hear that, I didn't read that there's any reason he should be allowed to stay there.
Your Honor, just to clarify, what I understood from the charging affidavit is that the alleged victim and her partner, not Mr. Abad, I believe that.
Oh, it's Mr. Abad's home.
Yes, Your
I'm
Honor.
sorry, I was confused because I think there were a couple of arrests here. I'm sorry, I had him confused with another participant in this melee. He may return home so long as the other two, I think it's his niece or his daughter and her boyfriend,
Yes, that's
are
my
not
understanding,
in the
Your Honor.
home. Beg pardon?
I'm sorry, I was saying yes, that's my understanding.
Yes, so if he may return so long as they are not in the home.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes. All right, Veronica Marie Fernandez. Ms. Fernandez, you're charged with grand theft of an automobile. Your bond is $2,500.
Your Honor, she qualifies for direct PTR.
That means a bond and PTR?
No, she qualifies for a direct PTR.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, she's released on PTR then, and she may not, she's to have no contact with the victim or any witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
O'Neill Gomez Lugo. Sir, you were arrested for possession of cocaine, for altering, destroying, or concealing or removing evidence, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of cannabis. In order, your bonds are, I'm going to alter these bonds slightly. 2,500 on count 2, 150, I'm sorry, 2,500 on count 1. I beg your pardon. 150 on count 2, 100 on count 3, 100 on count 4. So that's 25, that's 7. It is whatever it is. I can't do math. All right, thank you. And I didn't say it before, but the court appoints a public defender for purposes of IAs only for all of these folks.
Your Honor, will you be taking any action on the case he's out on probation for?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not see that. He is on oh, I'm sorry. Here it is, it's in the back. Oh, he's out on probation, so I'll do an on-view violation of his probation for which he has no bond.
I feel to put the case number on the record.
Can you put the probation case number on the record, please? It might
Yes,
be.
Your Honor, it's 2021 CF 4601 AOX.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed something. John Doe?
Your Honor, after John Doe, can we please recall Mr. Abad? PTR.
Why?
PTR informed me that both alleged victims are requesting contact with him and would like to continue residing with them.
That would be denied.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Mr. John Doe was arrested for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription and possession or use of drug paraphernalia. He has no bond until his identity is.
I did clear up my name while I was with the officer in the intake.
Okay.
Your Honor, his fingerprints did come back and he was identified.
Okay. Okay. Could you just say his name on the record?
He was identified as Justin Johnson.
All right, thank you.
I got warrants out of Minnesota.
Okay, so is he on a hold? They have extradition on those charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say that if his identity has been confirmed on these charges alone, he has a bond on the first count of $1,000, on the second count of $100, but I understand he'll be held, so that's irrelevant. Enroy Percival Grant. Mr. Grant, it looks like you've got a Palm Beach County warrant and your bond is $2,000 on that warrant. David Christopher Holden. Does Mr. Holden qualify for PTR?
Your Honor, he qualifies for a bond with PTR.
Okay, so his bond is $500 with PTR. When he is released, he's to have no contact with any victim or witness. If he lives with the alleged victim, then he'll be allowed to return to the home one time with law enforcement to retrieve his belongings, but otherwise he cannot reside there. Karina Izaza Ortiz. And does Miss Ortiz qualify for PTR?
Does not. No, Your Honor, she doesn't.
Oh dear, okay. So her charge is simple battery, domestic violence. Her bond is $500. If she's released, she's to have no contact with the victim. If she lives with the victim, she may not return there except one time with law enforcement to retrieve her belongings.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Hector Rosa. Didn't understand this. Mr. Rosa is charged with grand theft of an automobile. His bond is $2,500 on that. And then resisting without violence, and his bond is $500 on that. But it seems that I don't understand what all these papers mean, but is he on probation? Maybe.
Correct, Your Honor. He's out on federal
Orange County.
probation. Yes, out of Orange County.
Okay, so this is a violation of his probation for which he has no bond. Dion Stevenson. Okay. Sadly, Mr. Stevenson was he was ROR'd on a trespass charge previously, and he was picked up for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, possession of drug paraphernalia, altering, destroying, concealing, removing evidence, and resisting without violence. His bond on those charges, and I'm going to alter these a little bit, are $1,500 on the first count, 100 on the second count, 150 on the third, and 100 on the fourth. And his ROR is revoked on the trespass charge. So I believe your client wants to say something. Can you speak with him, please?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Your Honor, I don't know if you can verify, but Mr. Stevenson is alleging that the case that he was ROR'd on was dismissed. I don't know if there's any way the court can verify that at this time.
I don't know. Is anybody able to do that? Can we have the case number again, please?
I went to the courthouse.
Your Honor, the case number is 2021 MM2143.
Oh, wait, no. 2143. And then there's another one.
Yes.
21 MM2573. So he, according to the documents we have, is ROR'd on 2 trespass cases.
One case is a resisting without violence. The other case is.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Sorry, yeah.
Your Honor, I went to the public defender's office, and I asked him that I have a court date, because I was bringing in the papers, and the lady at the desk told me that you have no court date, you have nothing on, we have no information on this, and that you're good to go, and I was supposed to go see my mom.
Oh my gosh, it's a terrible misunderstanding. Hold on a second. Anybody? Anybody?
Yes, Your Honor, I see that we just filed on the 21MM2573 case 3 days ago.
Okay.
But they are all open cases.
They're all open cases. I guess that's what happens when a secretary or a receptionist gives you legal advice. So those are open cases. One of them was filed on 3 days ago. So your ROR is revoked.
Thank you, Your Honor.
As to both. Thank you. Courtney Marie Straubel. Oh my gosh, how could this have happened? Okay, Ms. Straubel, for reasons that I'm sure could be explained, you failed to appear for a court date, and the judge you were supposed to see issued a bench warrant for your arrest, and you have no bond.
Okay. Can I get a bond, like a pretrial release bond or something? Because I just
Sure.
missed my court date, just a misunderstanding, like I didn't get the paper in the mail.
Yeah,
So.
you can do that, but it has to be with the judge who signed the bench warrant.
Okay.
All right, Anthony Gilbert Graham.
Your Honor, can we waive him, please?
Okay, he is. It looks like he has a bench warrant ×3, and his bond on each one is $250.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Waiving what? She just waived it. Oh, why did we waive that? His appearance there?
He's not feeling well, Your Honor. He was reset yesterday for detox, and today we did speak with him, and he was fine with being waived.
Kathleen Garcia Rodriguez. Okay, so you were arrested for possession of cocaine. Your bond on that charge is $2,500. Also, possession of drug paraphernalia, your bond on that charge is $100. And resisting without violence, your bond is $100.
Your Honor, will that be with PTR?
Yes, so I want her drug tested, lots and lots.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. I'll see you. Oh, I have one more. I beg your pardon.
Yes, Your Honor. I was just verifying. I believe it's Karina. Oh no. ¿Cómo se te llamaron?
What in the Sam Hill is going on? This one?
Isaac Murray, Your Honor.
Okay, Isaac Murray. Mr. Murray, you've got a pesky out-of-county warrant that you were picked up on, and your bond on that warrant from some other place is $5,000.
Wait, what is the charges?
It looks like possession of utilone, but I can't tell because we don't have those. It's some kind of controlled substance.
Yeah, I didn't.
All right. Thank you. She muted him. Okay, now what is the question?
So I heard you address Mr. Hector Rosa, and I heard something about probation.
Yeah.
And that he was no bond, but I see 2 cases listed here. Neither one of the cases were on the record. And then I don't know if you've seen this new charge, the 25.
Didn't I say that?
You
On
did,
the-
but on this, I'm not, are you doing an armed view?
Yes.
Okay.
So no bond on those VOPs.
Okay. Got it. And the other one.
Yes.
And that's it.
Thank you, Osceola.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a nice weekend.
You too.